Hi folks, Rick here. I'm going to make a signpost for my previous dog's memorial. I've got a plaque out of mahogany on his actual, uh, not stone, steel, memorial deal. But I want to make a sign encouraging people to bring rocks from places they'd visit to add to his cairn. And so I've got the mahogany I used to make the plaque, the original plaque. I'm going to use that to make the signpost. I've got 1.25 inches here. I'm throwing away the quarter on either side to make an 8-inch or 1/8 inch sides that letters won't go past. That gives me 8 inches to play with. I broke it down to 16 half-inch squares, so I can do 16 characters across because I've got 3/8 template right here. If you're looking for a letter template set, can't go wrong. Go to Hobby Lobby. I've got a pretty nice set. It's got various sizes in it. It was like 17 bucks. I had trouble finding a good lettering stencil set. Hobby Lobby's where I found it. So anyways, I'm going to use these 3/8 templates. First, I'm going to mark out my 16 rows across so I can put the letters all in straight. And I've already laid out what I'm going to say, and I've laid it out for the characters across so that each line has less than 16 characters, including the space. So I'm going to lay out the lines, get the template, and get my template set out. Right. Okay, you see I've gridded it all out. I've got 1/2 inch across because I've got 3/8 letters. The letter's about 1/2 inch tall, so I made the spaces 1 inch, giving plenty of space in between. 1 inch on the top and the bottom for spacers. I've got what I'm going to say gridded out, or well, laid out, including spaces. So now I'm going to begin. We line up. First letter is W. We line up the W. And center the bottom of the box. And mark it out. And there we go. I got the W. Now we need an H. The H centered in the box. H. I'll just continue on along until I've got them all marked out, and then cut off my board and take it in to carve out the letters. Okay, so I've got the letters all put on there the way I want in the grid. Did it in pencil so that I could erase where I screwed up a couple of spots. I had some spacing issues, moved some stuff around, screw some stuff up. That's why I do it in pencil. And once I carve everything out, I'll be sanding it all off, so all the pencil marks will be erased, chalk marks, any marks. So you don't really have to worry about it. You can put it on as dark as you want. I wouldn't recommend using ink though, because it can bleed into the wood, depending on how tight your grains are. So I'm going to cut it off there, and then I can take it inside and carve on the letters at my leisure. So I chose to go with the Dremel. I've got pretty much the smallest round bit I can for carving out these smaller letters. I'm pretty much doing a single pass down, so it's this width wide on the smaller letters. I think I'm going to switch to a larger ball for the larger letters, my 9/16 letters. steady hand. I just kind of go over it, put the line in, and then I go as deep as I want to go. Trying to go fairly deep with this. And I'm going to sand off quite a bit of material, smooth it out. To do that, I might have to recharge some of these letters. Just to even it out, I won't really know until I get some of the rough stuff off. Exactly how much smoothing out I'm going to have to do. Basically, I just do that for each letter. Whenever you do something like this, you definitely plan out every letter, because every letter you use is going to have to be painstakingly placed into the board. So tend not to be too wordy if you can help it. Keep you updated. Okay, so I've got all of the letters dremeled out, rough draft dremeled out anyways, and now it goes back out to the barn where I sand. Okay, well, you see, I used a rotary palm sander here. You can use basically any kind of sander. I started with 80 grit to smooth out the rough side. I hit the sides with that. I'm going to leave the back rough. But I hit 80 grit all around, kind of knocked some of the corners down, and then I went over the face with 220 to smooth it out. I think I'm going to take it back in and Dremel out some of these letters a little bit deeper. I figured I would have to, but I kind of wanted to see what I was working with. Get it all down and then see what it looked like, and kind of the depth I wanted to go to. None are really deeper than necessary, so I think I'd like to take them all as deep as I got, say this end, or most of my big letters went as deep as I want them to, because it's easy to go deep with a large bulb. So that's where I am now. So I've got the letters out and pretty much to the depths I want them. I could go back in and carve some a little bit more out, but no. Learn to not try for perfection. I'm going with a semi-transparent stain. I mainly just want to bring the wood grain out of this mahogany. Don't want to make it look like oak or pine, ebony, or whatnot. I want it to look like mahogany. So I'm going to lay down a good coat of stain. You can see the stain will go into any imperfections, such as the letters you carved out. Go a little bit darker, penetrate deeper there. So it's one of the reasons why it's important to kind of sand it down smooth. I probably could have gotten some finer grit and gone a little smoother, but this is something that's going outside. It's going to get weathered, beat up anyways. So will not need to be perfect. So pretty much, and if there's other methods of staining, I pretty much just goop. I mean, I'm sure there's other methods of staining. I don't claim to be an expert at anything. So if you've got a better method of staining than I do, feel free. I pretty much just goop it on, let it soak in for a second, and then wipe off the excess. See, I've got all the coat on the sides. Really covered. There's no dry wood. I just kind of lightly pat off some. I'm not trying to get it all the wet off. In fact, I'd like what's in those letters to sink in really deep so that the letters stand out better. The deeper you go with the letters, the more they'll stand out, of course. If you leave them fairly rough, you don't try and sand them out super smooth, they'll also absorb more stain, they'll stand out more. That's the staining. Now, I got a pretty wet day, so I'm going to give this quite some time to dry before I put some polyurethane on it. I'm using a semi-gloss. I don't want it to glow so much, you know, the glare makes you can't read the letters. You kind of see that here just with the glow from it being wet, how you hold at a certain angles and the light kind of hides the letters. That's it for now. Okay, the stain's dried and I'm happy with the way it turned out. I don't think I need to resand and restain it. If you want to make the stain sink in a little deeper, come a little darker, you can always resand, restain. I'm not going to do that though. Like I said, I'm just going to go straight to the polyurethane. I stirred it up pretty good. I can take what's on here instead of wasting it, making a mess. I'll use it. Put it on pretty thick because it goes on a little bit opaque. You can tell fairly easy where it is, how thick it is. And it dries clear. Get on there pretty thick. And let the letters just soak it up. Now, I didn't think about it. I probably should have done the back first. Let that dry, because when I flip it over and let it sit on it, if it's not completely dry, it wouldn't matter if it takes up a little paper and stuff. But if I want to do the back now, I've got to make sure the front is just bone dry, because I don't want bits of paper or sawdust or whatever it's sitting on to be stuck in the semi-dry lacquer here. But what I'll probably do then is when I go to hang it, I'll throw some lacquer on the back, then put it up against the tree and screw it in, and it'll help seal it to the tree a little. Okay. Got that fairly evenly applied. You do it kind of thick. This is a triple thick. It's supposed to go on already as if like you made 3 coats. I don't find it to be that thick, but it is nice and thick. And when you put it on like this, You kind of see the brush strokes now, but it'll smooth out a little and glass up. On previous deals where I've done, I wanted a really thick, deep gloss into it. I would sand in between with a real light sander, or a real light sanding with a real fine sandpaper, and then go over it again. You can go over it a number of times. Naturally, the thicker your lacquer, the more depth it gives to the shine. But I think I'm gonna be happy with just one coat. I am going to shift it over onto my paper here so it doesn't glue quite so bad where I did the sides. See, when I did the sides, I left that stuff, and when it dries, that'll glue the board to it. I'll still get some of that, but not quite so bad, and it's on the back, so I don't really care. If you absolutely have to have all sides nice, you kind of make like little cones and prop it up on the back so that the least amount of surface area is touching on what is potentially tacky paint or urethane or stain or whatnot.
Power off.
Come back when it's all dry and show you the finished product. Okay, got it all hung. For my vision impaired viewers, it says, when next you visit, won't you please bring a stone and story from where you've walked, so I may roam there too. It's for my dog Donny. He passed a few months ago. The thing he loved most in all the world was to walk in the woods. So whenever I go someplace interesting with nice woods around, try and find a stone to bring back to him. Hopefully his spirit can use that stone as a connection to wander interesting places. I don't want to be trapped here in this field. He's explored this. So, Rick out.